Shahid, you were this boy next door going to college. You know, achanak overnight, you got this instant stardom.
Right.
Were you prepared for it?
No, to be honest, I personally don't think that anybody could be prepared for something like that because, you know, one day before you're just another guy walking on the road, and a day later you get so much adulation, you get so much success. Plus, I was very young, so I think it took me a little while to get used to the whole thing. In fact, sometimes I feel I'm still getting used to it.
How did you handle it?
But honestly, I didn't know how to handle it. I just, I guess to some extent, because especially my father, he's, in my opinion, one of the best actors in the country. And he's a very, very humble man. So coming from that background, somewhere I had this reference point where I could look at my father and say, okay, if a man of his stature, of his ability, of his performance can be so humble and so grounded, then I definitely don't have any right to, you know, thinking of myself as something special. So,
but kuch badlav aaye gaye honge. I mean, come on, there must have been some essential changes that have taken place in you.
हाँ, कुछ हद तक yes, I would agree कि बदलाव तो आते हैं. I think with age, I think I'm 24 right now. So the last 2-3 years, due to age, due to experience, I have changed as a person quite a bit. You can say
I want to know how success has affected you. I want to know, have you become more confident? Have you become a brat? Have you, do you throw your weight around? I
don't throw my weight around. I throw my weight around with people at home, with my loved ones. But I've done that always, ever since I was a kid. Success, you can't only name one or two things. It's a process. At least I went through a process. I went through a graph. Initially, you know, so much adulation goes to your head a little bit. You start feeling on top of the world. You start.
And how do you react to it?
I did the same. Like I'm saying, I'm telling you my process.
I want to know, when it goes to your head, what did you do? You thought no end of yourself.
No, not about thinking no end of yourself. You become very high on confidence. And maybe sometimes because of that confidence that you exude and because you're so confident and you're so gung-ho about what you want to do and things like that, sometimes a lot of other people who are a lot more experienced than you get a little, they get a little surprised or stuff like that, which happened with me a little bit in the beginning. But then Fida happened, which didn't do well at all. And to me, Fida is a more important film than Ishq Vishk because it taught me a lot more as a person and as a star, as an actor, in every way. It showed me failure. And it's very important to see failure to somewhere, I think, understand what success is and enjoy it.
At the end of the day, when you become a star, you do lose certain things. You may gain stardom, but there's certain things, essentially, that you do lose out on. What do you think you've lost out on?
Well, the obvious answer is you lose a lot of your privacy. Apart from, you have very little time for family, in this profession especially, because you're working pretty much around the clock. So your personal life to a large extent suffers.
Do you feel you're always being watched?
Is this a horror film?
No, but tell me, does your life feel like one?
I'm sure that, yeah, a lot of eyes are on you most of the times, whenever you're in a public place especially. But I try not to think about it because...
But do you resent it?
At some level, it does upset me, but I'm trying to get used to it.
But Shahid, people want to know about you क्योंकि आप अभी star बन चुके हैं. So people want to watch you. They want to see you. They want to know what you're eating. They want to see what you're wearing. They want to dance like you. They want a girlfriend like yours. And then, you know, Jessica, for example, that incident that happened to you and Kareena, and it's blown out of proportion, and, you know, it becomes sensationalized because it's you and because it's her.
Right.
You know, do you feel that that's really unfair?
Yes.
That's a hefty price to pay.
It is. An incident like that it's a shocking price to pay. I don't think it's fair at all.
Would you want to give all of this up to become a non-celebrity and be anonymous again?
That's a very difficult question. It's not only about being a celebrity. I think it's about, for me personally, it's about what I love doing. I love films. I love acting. I don't think there is anything else that I would do if I wasn't an actor. So at that level, I don't want to let this go because I'm very happy with what I have. But my private life is also very, very important to me.
But, you know, I guess that's the price one pays. But
I don't
suppose you had a
think so.
fantasy.
I think that's being very unfair. You can't say that that's the price to pay. I mean,
you don't think if you can't take the heat, stay out of the kitchen?
I think one has to learn to draw a line somewhere. You can't overshoot that line. I think that has not got to do with being a celebrity or not. It's got to do with being a human being.
But don't you think people have a natural interest, which is why I guess films sell, because the popularity of stars sells so many products, because people want to emulate them, people are interested in them, people are interested in their lives.
No, I respect that. I respect that completely, and I understand that a lot of people want to know as much as they can. But this really wasn't the people who did this, did they? It was the media. It was the media who went out and did this, and it was, I think, probably one of the first times that something like this had happened. And I think the people, the industry, and most of the rest of the media reacted in a very strong way to it and said that it wasn't right. So I think people pretty much stood up and did not support something like this. See, I'm not saying that I don't want people to be taking my photographs, or I don't want people coming up to me in public places and asking me for an autograph. Of course, they must, and to a large extent, I thank them for showing that much love to me. But there is a certain line which has to be drawn.
Where do you draw that line?
Very difficult questions to answer in such a short time.
Well,
it's a very large question.
I mean, if you don't know the line, how do you expect the media to know that line?
No, it's not about knowing the line. It's about understanding how much is humane and what is crossing like that line. I mean, go back and think about yourself and ask yourself, would I like this if something like this happened to me?
How does the media draw that line? Where do you think that line should be drawn?
I think the media will never draw a line. It's up to the star to pretty much tell them that this much and no more. It always has to be the star.
The incident that happened with Kareena, that was splashed all over, airwaves, that was a very unfortunate price to pay for stardom.
Yeah, it was. I think it was unfair on the part of the media, completely.
How did you react to it personally, Shahid? I want to know.
Initially it was just like a hand came out of the dark and it just punched you in the face. It just came from nowhere. It was very shocking. There are families involved. There are people's emotions involved.
I want to know the most dramatic emotion you experienced. Was it more upset or was it outrage?
It's difficult to name one emotion. Initially it was shock. I mean, I was just shocked when I saw the morning paper. Later on, there was a lot of anger and there was a lot of surprise, because I honestly didn't expect something like that to happen. Very, very honestly. I had been in the industry for 2 years and I had never heard of something like that happen ever. And it was disbelief. I was like, this can't have happened. It was like that.
You know, Shahid, इस industry में ज़्यादातर when people get into relationships, छुपा छुपी होता है. So maybe, if somebody discovered that two people were seeing each other, or कुछ हो रहा है उनके बीच में, उनको record किया, see, we have evidence these two are seeing each other, it's still possible you could say, okay, these two are seeing each other, there's a scoop.
No.
Lekin आप you've been very open and very upfront about the fact that you've been in this relationship with Kareena and that she's your girlfriend. So it's really no surprise to people.
No, see, one thing I want to make clear is that you are claiming to be a national newspaper. You're not claiming to be a tabloid. You're not claiming to be a film magazine. What are you achieving? What are you achieving out of putting those photographs in the front page of your paper, apart from everybody buying the paper and
but even if it was a tabloid, chalo, even if it was a tabloid, would it still be justified?
I'm just referring to what happened, because you're talking about that incident, so I'm just clearing out my stand on it. Is that why have you done it? Is what is the audience, or what are the people getting to know that they already don't know? I mean, like you said, people already knew that me and Kareena were seeing each other. We have always been very, very open and forthcoming to the media about it.
Right.
Unlike a lot of other people who hide this thing. I mean, if tomorrow you catch two people who are seeing each other, probably with somebody else, then that makes news. Because that's something that people don't know about.
So you're telling them pure sensationalism.
Yeah, you're telling people something about, they already know about it. So why do you need to do that, apart from wanting to sell your paper a little more? That's all that it is. I mean, are you going to stoop to that level of disgrace, and do you not have that much humanity also, that just to sell a few more copies you'll put those pictures in, and they provide no information to the people which they don't already know? News is about providing information. People know Shahid and Kareena are seeing each other, so what's new about it?
I think essentially what people are trying to say is that, if you're a star, people are going to be interested in what you do, what you say, what you eat. However, if it's in the confines of your home, it should be kept private. And if it's out in public, then it's fair game.
Right.
What do you think?
See, it's always easier being on the other side of the fence. You've asked people who are all a part of the audience. You didn't ask any celebrities. It's because those people don't go through it, so they don't know what it makes you go through. But to some extent, I do agree with what they're saying, is that a star's public life, when he's in the public, is to a large extent going to be viewed by a lot of people.
And maybe fair game.
Whether I like it or not, it's going to happen. So I have to learn to accept that. But people crossing a certain boundary and entering our private space, definitely not.
But for example, say, not in your case, but in the case of any other celebrity, my point is that if it's in the confines of their home, in a closed environment,
Right.
then people may not have a right to intrude. Lekin agar celebrities bahar jakar, they go make a spectacle of themselves, get involved in brawls or fights, or openly hug and kiss each other in public I'm talking about, then do you think it should be fair game? Or do you think they're human, leave them alone?
Are we going to have a court which decides whether that actually happened in public or not?
No, I'm not talking about your case,
No,
Shahid.
I'm just saying, how do you know?
I'm just talking in general. Like,
How do you
suppose-
know? How do you know whether what people pose to be photographs of two people kissing or a celebrity in a brawl? How do you know it's also true? How do you know the story they write is exactly how it went? You never know. You have to take their word for it.
I'm
So
just
I
saying
think that's being very
assuming.
unfair.
I'm just saying assuming that, say for example, X and Y
It's very
go to a
convenient.
restaurant.
See,
okay.
for
I'm
an
just saying
audience,
hypothetically.
No. For an audience, it's very convenient to accept what's written in those lines. But what actually happens most of the times doesn't really come across, does it?
What do you say, Shahid? Can't live with them, can't live without them?
That's true. They're a part of my profession, and I have to learn to accept that. That's true.
This whole love-hate relationship between press and stars, where the stars sort of say they're invading our private lives, and stars saying, "Hey, those stars," and the media saying those stars are such hypocrites, man. When they need us, the films are coming out, तो हमारे पास भागते चले आती हैं. And when we go and sort of pry into their lives just a little bit, and it's fair because people want to know.
See, if you just look at it in perspective, it's not that difficult to understand. We have a professional relationship, the media and us. Therefore, it should remain professional. No? Why should it enter anybody's personal space?
तो आप कह
It's
रहे
as
हैं
simple as a secretary and the boss working together. They work together from 9 to 5. She is his secretary till 5 o'clock, and after 5 o'clock, they go their own way and they go back home and they have their personal lives. So why should it be different for the media and actors? I mean, an actor and a media are working together. The media needs a star because they need something to talk about. A star needs the media because he needs to be projected to a lot of people. And they do that on a professional level, and that's where it should end.
But what about people's definite interest to know?
It's a very personal thing on the part of the media and the public and the star. On a personal level, you have to understand what is enough for you and what is not. And I guess it's up to the star to put it across to the media that this much is acceptable to me and not beyond that. And it is up to the media to feel responsible to some extent. They are people who are representing a nation. Okay, in a way, they are the voice of the nation. They are putting across facts to the nation. So they must also know that somewhere the ideologies of the nation are being influenced by them. What they show influences a lot of people. If a 10-year-old child is sitting and watching news and he sees something which might be extremely sensational or shocking, he is going to get affected by that. So you take that responsibility and you ask yourself that is it fair that just because we want a few more people to see this, we are putting this out.
And we spoke earlier, you said that there was no clear, definite boundary that could be established.
It's
So you
difficult.
think it should be kept purely professional?
I think it should be professional. It should, of course. It's a job like any other job.
I think the Stardust person said that,
No, she's right and completely
She said,
right in what she says. I mean, if you don't want people...
self-censorship hona chahiye.
No, what she said was that in a public place, if you don't want people to be to see something, or if you don't want something to be written about in your private life, then don't do it publicly.
And
I
Vivek
agree with
Vaswani
that.
ne kaha hai ki these are occupational hazards.
It is. Like he said, I mean, if we are talking about brass tacks, it exists. And we have to learn to accept that. How we deal with it is different, but it exists. Yeah.
But Shahid, आपका incident जो था, it was not an isolated incident. Things have been exposed about stars before, and they will continue to be exposed.
Right.
So an incident like this, how does it affect you and change your life? Do you sort of get more guarded
Why should
now
I
when you go
allow
out in
something like
public?
that to change my life? Why should I allow something like that to change my life?
Do you feel more guarded when you go in public, suddenly wondering who's looking at you, who's taking photographs?
I
Does it
try
create
not
paranoia?
to be. I try not to be affected by it. Why should I? Why should I change myself as a person? Why should I get reserved? Why should I change my personality as a person because something wrong has happened to me? Why not?
Well, you
I'll
suddenly
still
feel
say
like,
the
oh
same.
God, anything about me is going to be put out there, so maybe I should, this whole thing about decorum and behave a certain way.
I'm very comfortable about myself as a person. I mean, if you're uncomfortable with yourself and your personality, then probably you change yourself when you go out in public. I'm very comfortable with who I am, so why should I change myself in public?
That's wonderful, Shahid. And tell me something, do you have any message either for the media or your fans?
For the media...
Yeah, let's go one by one. Message to the media.
Well, we are all working together. We are in one fraternity. And we're in a situation which mutually benefits both of us. So I think if we take that extra step, put our feet in the other person's shoes and think for a minute, maybe we'll be able to work together in a very happy way.
And a message for your fans? That's your camera.
Well, for my fans, I'm just really glad that I've just done 3 films and they have supported me and shown their love and been there for me in some of my most difficult times. And I just hope that I can entertain them in the future and that they continue to watch my films, please.
Shahid, that's so sweet. You have good boy image about you. And they've been vilified and victimized, I should say, by that one little mobile clip that was taken. Yeah. And I hope that never happens to you again. I hope that doesn't happen to any other person in the fraternity.
Even my enemies, I hope that never happens to anybody.
Yeah, but it seems like a great possibility given the fact that technology seems to be against people and, the interest
but
is
everything has
so
a flip
great.
side, I guess. Everything has a flip side in life.
Well, one step at a time, one day at a time, and hopefully interviews like this will help make people realize that, stars are human, they have a right to their private lives.
I hope so.
There's a line that should be established and should not be crossed.
I hope so. I've spoken about something I'm very uncomfortable speaking about, so I hope that it works for the better.
Well, thank you for speaking about it, and I hope that it has the impact that it's supposed to have.
Thank you.